We're kicking off today with AEW Collision, as Serena Deeb had a promo segment during last night's show which has had the fans talking. On the March 2nd episode, Deeb once again reiterated that she believes nobody is on her level in AEW and dared somebody to step up to her and find out. This was an impressive, albeit standard promo from Deeb, but it was her last line that has caught attention as she described herself as the final boss. On social media, some speculated that this particular phrasing was a tease of the imminent arrival of Mercedes Moné, who is expected to debut for AEW at the Big Business Dynamite. In the promotional material for the show, the word Boston, spelled with $2 can be seen, which many have taken as a sign that Moné is coming and will be known as the boss moving forward. The fact that Deeb said no one currently in AEW can step up to her also implies that she will feud with somebody not currently on the roster, with Moné, again, fitting the bill. Moné is expected to do big things in AEW, and a feud with Deeb could be the first thing in store. And what do you make of her signing? Let us know in the comments section below. In just over a month, WWE will host WrestleMania 40 with a star-studded 2-night card, but one name who won't be competing is CM Punk. Thanks to his torn pectoral, Punk is once again missing the chance to headline WrestleMania, but we may still see him at the Showcase of the Immortals. During a recent Fightful Select Q&A, Sean Ross Sapp was asked about Punk's status for the show and said WWE planned to have him involved in some capacity. It's unclear what capacity Punk will work the show, but we do know that he's scheduled for TV appearances before WrestleMania, including the go-home episode of Raw. Of course, CM Punk would rather wrestle this April, but that simply won't happen. What do you hope to see him do at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia? Another name who's not expected to compete at WrestleMania is Braun Strowman, who has been out of action since June of last year following neck fusion surgery. Earlier this year, Strowman teased a men's Royal Rumble match return, which didn't happen, and what is the latest on the former WWE Universal Champion? During the Fightful Select Q&A, Sean Ross Sapp was asked exactly that and said that he was shocked when someone implied in January that Braun would be back soon. With that said, Sapp added that Strowman is doing way better than anticipated, implying we could be seeing him back on TV sooner rather than later. In an interview, Strowman said that he wants another shot at Gunther when he's back, and while he doesn't know when that'll be, it's great that he's doing better than expected. Over to Smackdown, and it was on this week's show that a huge tag team match was teased for WrestleMania that'll see The Rock and Roman Reigns face Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. The Rock was in full swing as a heel during SmackDown, but if you watch the segment on the East Coast, you may have noticed that the screen cut to black multiple times. While initially thought to be some sort of technical malfunction, that isn't the case, as it's since come out that this was an act of censorship by Fox against one fan and their sign. The sign in question read, "Die, Rocky, die," a nod to the 1997 chant from the fans who rejected his clean-cut white meat babyface persona when he was Rocky Maivia. While Fox didn't want this sign to be shown, the "Die, Rocky, die" message ended up trending on Twitter, as fans clearly had a more favorable take on the sign than those at Fox. While "Die, Rocky, die" was censored, a sign reading "The Rocky, the" was broadcast, which may confuse fans if they don't have an in-depth knowledge of The Simpsons. In one episode, the villainous Sideshow Bob says his tattoo "Die Bart Die" isn't a threat, but German for "The Bart, the," a joke referenced by one of the fans at this week's SmackDown. WWE has often made reference to the crowd's negative reaction to The Rock in the past, but this sign was too much for those at Fox. And what do you make of this situation? We've got an update in the Billy Jack Haynes case now, as the former wrestler was recently arrested and charged with murder in the second degree of his wife Jeanette. In an update, it was revealed that Hayes will face trial on April 11th for the charge, as well as the charge of unlawful use of a weapon. This is a serious situation for Haynes, who wrestled with the likes of Randy Savage and Hercules from 1986 to 1988, and will continue to follow this case for further updates. More from AEW Collision now, as Mariah May won her brief singles match, but her celebration didn't last long, as Toni Storm quickly took the spotlight from her. Storm grabbed the mic to call out Deonna Purrazzo and asked if their feud has gone too far, but the pair quickly ended up brawling, with May caught in the crossfire. The British star tried to help, but ended up taking a piledriver from the Virtuosa as Storm was held back by Luther, as May continues to be pushed to the background by Storm. It's only a matter of time before she loses her love for Storm and decides to take action, and it could be as soon as tonight's AEW Revolution pay-per-view. Mariah May has been by Storm's side since her debut for AEW, but could their partnership be over in a matter of hours? Give your thoughts in the comments section down below. The main event of Collision was an 8-man tag pitting Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, Hook, and Daniel Garcia against Christian Cage, Killswitch, Roderick Strong, and Brian Cage. Brian Cage and Beretta began for their teams, and the Machine easily overpowered his opponent, but they both chose to tag out to Garcia and Strong. Matches with 8 people can range from steady and easy to follow to chaos with no clear legal competitor, and thankfully this match fell into the first category. At ringside, Mother Wayne gave some great facial expressions, and it's impressive to see someone who was never part of wrestling until recently become such a good character. Garcia and Strong had a great little technical exchange, though there was an awkward spot before the break that ended abruptly before both teams had a standoff. No one competitor really stood out among the other 7, but the Christian vs. Garcia and Strong vs. Cassidy feud were given some attention during the match. Nick Wayne ended up interfering behind the ref's back by hitting Beretta, which allowed Killswitch to pin him for the win, giving the heels the momentum going into Revolution. At the crowdless WrestleMania 36 in 2020, Becky Lynch retained the Raw Women's title against Shayna Baszler 1 year on from winning the title at the same event in 2019. Given that Baszler was booked strong in the run-up, including eliminating all women in an Elimination Chamber, some fans were confused by the result, and for good reason. In a sneak preview of her memoir set to be released later this month, Lynch reveals that she pushed for Baszler to win the title from her at the first ever 2-night WrestleMania. Lynch writes that given she was a year into her title reign, she felt like she'd overstayed her welcome on top and could feel the fans turning on her. Lynch added that Baszler winning at WrestleMania, even a crowdless one, would establish her as a new star, but when she requested to lose the title, WWE higher-ups said no. Instead, the man retained her title, but would vacate it shortly after to Money in the Bank winner Asuka in a segment in which Lynch revealed she was pregnant. While Baszler has held tag titles since then, she's never truly returned to a top women's championship picture, despite Becky Lynch's best efforts to lose to Baszler in 2020. And we're ending with AEW as the company has worked hard to keep those at Warner Bros. Discovery happy, leading to speculation about an eventual media rights deal. In their efforts to keep WBD smiling, AEW got rid of AEW Dark on YouTube, and during the Batman podcast, Andrew Zarian said AEW isn't in danger of losing their spot on TV. In fact, Zarian added that AEW has plenty of opportunities lined up on WBD properties, and that includes seeing the stars of AEW outside the world of pro wrestling. Things certainly bode well for AEW and WBD, and as long as they keep their media partners satisfied, expect to see more from Tony Khan's roster, both in and out of the ring.